70-year-old patient coming to. He's sitting waiting after his vaccine. He's like, hey, what are you streaming right now? I'm like, this is Buddha Bar. He's like, oh, I love it. There was a chemotherapeutic effect with CBD plus 2 other unnamed cannabinoids. And when you say unnamed cannabinoids, you're like, wow, we still don't even know the vastness of this plant. That's probably why she told my parents, like, hey, Rahim hotboxed the basement when you were gone. So I went to Walmart, worked in Hawaii for about 7 months.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's great. I didn't know anybody. I'm like, yeah, I want to try this. Especially as like an entrepreneur, you can never stop. Your mind's always going. That's why you need weed, man. Seroquel is the shittiest drug. Or benzos. Like, give them a CBD, man. Like honestly, we need to just fix up medical, 100%. It's failing, it's crumbling. You know, we just licensed a pharmacy out in Alberta. I'm looking for partners, man. I'm looking for those entrepreneurial guys out there. I'm looking for pharmacists like you. People that are willing to make change and, you know, want to make some noise across the country. Appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Things change, right? You have to look at the data, look at the clinical relevance and benefit. Like, you can't deny this is a medication.
Medication. Your medication makes me high. Just be patient.
Guys, welcome back. It's your boy Shan from Touch of Love. I'm with my bro Rahim from Hybrid Pharm. How's it going, bro?
Good. It's going well.
Good, man.
You?
Yeah, amazing. It's a little rainy outside, but it's a nice vibe in here, bro. Like, I would live here.
Yeah, man.
If I could.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
We got to keep it like nice and calm and zen, you know.
100%.
We blast like Buddha Bar music or like, you know, like some Spotify like.
Bro, this is too fun. Yeah, you got the roars going. You know, shout out to Roar.
I had this like 70-year-old patient coming to. He's sitting waiting after his vaccine. He's like, hey, what are you streaming right now? I'm like, really? Okay. So I'm like, this is Buddha Bar. He's like, oh, I love it. So I think he's gonna go home and like go on Spotify and start like streaming Buddha.
You just put him on, bro.
Yeah,
I love it.
Good stuff.
I love it. So, we are a couple of pharmacists.
Yeah, man.
But I think more importantly, we are diehard cannabis fans.
Yeah.
So why cannabis? Yeah. What is it about cannabis for you?
It's nature's pharmacy, man. It's a pharmacy in a bowl, right? You know what I mean? There's so many different components. There's so many different medical aspects. There's so much stuff we don't even know still. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, I was actually talking to a recent a doctor colleague of mine, and he brought up the same study this guy in Israel did about the chemotherapeutic effects of cannabinoids. And he like tested like something like 600 strains. And what he found that there was a chemotherapeutic effect with CBD plus 2 other unnamed cannabinoids. And when you say unnamed cannabinoids, you're like, wow, we still don't even know the vastness of this plant.
Yes.
And we can still unpick this so much more. But I mean, as of right now, I think it's an amazing plant. It has so many medical benefits that we're just starting to untap as we go. It's you know, it's like an iceberg, right? Mm-hmm. There's just so much more that we don't know, and I think we have a lot to learn.
Yeah,
it's a wonderful plant.
Absolutely. When was your first time consuming?
16. I actually no, probably summer of grade 8, going into grade 9.
Okay.
Smoked my first joint. Didn't know what to expect. My buddy was like, "Okay, I got to go to bed." I'm like, why? Am I supposed to be that high? What am I doing? I don't know. I think I did it wrong. I didn't inhale. I don't know. You know, it was like a very amateur moment.
Yeah.
But then from there, I just kind of used it recreationally. And I remember, growing up, man, like my sister caught me like hotboxing in my basement and then tell my mom, like, oh my God.
How was that? How did that reaction go?
Yeah, it wasn't good. Like, no, you can't be doing this. This is haram. What is this? Like, yeah.
So what's your background? Are you Indian or are you?
So I was actually born in Pakistan. I was adopted at birth, brought to Canada. My parents are East African. So they're from like Tanzania, Uganda. They got kicked out by Idi Amin, came over to Canada in like 70, I want to say 76, around there. And then, we started a life in Canada. Okay. So like, we're called the Ismailis. They're like a sect of Muslim. I'm not very religious, to be very honest. Mm-hmm. But look, we follow that culture, that kind of Indian culture mixed with like East African, mixed with like Canadian.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple of like Indian friends that are actually from Africa, like Kenya and things like that.
They're probably Ismaili.
Okay. I'm actually not sure. Yeah. That's the first time I heard of that term.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's I would say it's a religious like sect of Ismaili Shia Muslims.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So when you came
very progressive.
So you came to Canada when you were pretty young?
Yeah. So I was adopted at birth. At like 3 weeks I came.
Okay.
And then took over my sister's room and she's hated me ever since.
Story of your life.
And that's probably why she told my parents, like, hey, Rahim hotboxed the basement when you were gone. I'm like, Thanks, Raj.
So what made you like go into pharmacy?
Family. Right? My dad was an entrepreneur pharmacist. Like when he came to Canada, I think he started in North Bay. They ended up starting like 2 pharmacies there. He built like this pharmacy with like a huge like 3-story, 4-story building with a bunch of doctors upstairs. So
Sick.
started there. Then we moved to Ottawa. Owned about four pharmacies in the surrounding Ottawa area. So I mean, I've been in pharmacy. I mean, when I got caught smoking weed, I'm like, all right, that's it. My summer's over. I'm grounded. I'm working in the pharmacy, stocking. Putting like toothpaste.
Putting the order away. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I get you.
You know how it goes.
I was doing the same thing, man. Same thing.
So it kind of grew from there, and like I was good at science. I was good at chemistry. I was good at math. So my parents were like, just you should go into medical somewhere.
And then where did you start working when you got out of school?
I graduated in 2009 from Mass College of Pharmacy in Boston.
Yeah.
I stayed out in Boston. I moved right to Hawaii.
Okay.
So I went to Walmart, worked in Hawaii for about 7 months.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't know anybody. I'm like, I want to try this. Like, it was crazy, man. So I lived in Big Island in Kona.
Jeez, my parents just went there. They were telling me it's beautiful. Yeah.
It's sick because like you have like your beach, you have like your tropical, you have your volcano. Like it's a very like diverse landscape. It's beautiful. But I learned to sail, learned to like scuba dive, learned to surf a little bit. Like it was just fun. It was very like, it was a cool lifestyle, man. They always say like the age you move out to Hawaii is the age you'll stay.
Okay.
So like you have like 70-year-olds partying still, like they're like 20s, 30s, like hey.
Dude, I hear the same thing about Costa Rica.
Yeah.
That's what people say. It's like I came there like on my summer break or one thing, and like they never leave.
Yeah, man, I can see that. Costa Rica's beautiful. Have you been there?
Yes.
Oh, it's
yes.
beautiful, man.
Yeah.
It's such a put a vida,
Pura vida,
like a
yeah.
way of lifestyle. Like it's really chill vibes.
It's chill vibes. It's amazing. I think it's where I belong.
Yeah, man, me too. I need to be by the water.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be in the middle of a landlocked frozen tundra. Like, why did our parents settle here, man? It must have been summer. It had to have been.
Yeah, they just got fooled by the summer weather. That's too funny. So after you did a couple of gigs, so you started working in a pharmacy, and then kind of talk about your transition into cannabis when it was legalized, and then getting into this store.
Yeah. So I came back. I worked out there for Walmart. Then I came back to like the mainland. Lived in like Massachusetts, Rhode Island area. So I did CVS. I did Target.
Okay.
Floated around there. Went back and did my MBA. Then after that, we moved back to Ottawa after we got married to my now wife. And the idea was to take over the family business. And as that transition was happening, my dad actually ended up getting really sick with colon cancer. So he got diagnosed at stage 4. So it was pretty late. Like, I mean, he always had like diverticulitis. He always had like, stomach issues growing up. So he used to get some like resections done every like 10 years or so, like whenever it occurred. But this started out of nowhere kind of. And so we were kind of going through that process of like, coming back, taking over the pharmacy, but now he's trying to get out of it. So he got out of it with his partner. He's like, you know what? I don't need to hold on to this anymore. I'm going, like he's passing. He knows he was. So we went through that process. And in that process, obviously my curious eyes and ears were like perking up to like, let's try cannabis. Let's see if this is going to help him with his, cachexia, which is like muscle wasting. He wasn't eating. He was vomiting a lot from like the chemotherapy. He was in a lot of pain. They're giving them typical opioids and morphine and things. So I'm like, let's try cannabis. Let's see if it improves his like appetite. Let's see if it improves his mood even. And like, I think that kind of what snowballed it to start Hybrid Pharm. I remember at one point, I definitely probably gave him a pretty big dose for someone who's cannabis naive. Somewhere I gave him a dose, I took the same dose, and then like, about an hour later, I'm like vibing. I'm like, oh shit.
Like, my dad's on the same vibe.
Yeah, like I'm stoned, so my dad must be flying high.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool because I was bedside, like this was almost towards the end too, and it was just trying to open up, and it kind of lifted that shoulder of like, I need to take care of you. Like I need to be your dad. Like it was more like, let's just talk how you are, like tell me how you grew up, like just kind of going back through history. And it was a really cool bedside chat, and that's kind of where I started that idea of like I should help people with this. I should be the voice of a pharmacist's voice to open up a pharmacy or take it down this path and see how it goes. And he's like, yeah, like, I think it's very much a medicine. And you have to do that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So he's fully supportive of that.
Yeah,
Amazing.
he was. Yeah,
That's
he
amazing
was
to
very
hear, man.
progressive too, you know.
Okay. Sweet. So if you don't mind me asking, what were the kinds of cannabinoids you were giving him to replace his opioid therapy?
CBD and THC.
Okay.
So like that's pretty much all it was back in like I think it was 2016.
Yeah.
Pretty much we only had access to CBD and THC. So
Okay.
it's usually like a 1-to-1
In the form
ratio.
of
Oil.
oil?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the easiest for him to take. Pretty much the only thing available too. But yeah, I got all the forms because like there was all kinds of different registration forms. There was very like limited LPs available. So I sent it to his doctor. He signed it right back. Got it delivered, and then we started administering it to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were you able to replace most of his opioids, or?
It seemed like, yeah, he stopped asking for opioid because he was on, PRN, he was on, hydromorphone and things like that. So it seemed like it diminished the load he needed, which was great.
Amazing. Like
Yeah.
there's so many side effects to opioids, man. You have constipation, you have respiratory depression.
Yeah, man.
You have addiction, not to mention.
Yeah.
You have kidney and you have liver metabolism.
Even like, tell me if I'm wrong here. Like, I thought opioids too actually reduce oxygenation. If it reduces oxygenation, it reduces healing. And I've seen that. I've read that somewhere where it's like, well, we're giving this as a pain management medication, but it's not really doing anything else.
Yeah. It's the benefits might not even outweigh the risks
Right.
at that point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially for long-term chronic care, like chronic pain.
Yeah.
It's that's why, like, I mean, I feel like that's the first treatment place is like, let's do cancer therapy pain. And that's where we can start giving like new interventions because
Yes. I mean, it's
we're out of-
palliative,
we're
right?
out of
Like
options.
they're at their end of life anyway.
Yeah.
So it would be a really good place to start.
Yeah.
I think. And I think many people would receive benefit and would thank
Yeah.
people for giving them that.
I mean, even when I was giving it to my dad in the hospital, this is 2016 at the general here. A lot of the oncology teams there, they were very much like they seen it around. They were okay with it. They were all for it. Actually,
Okay,
like
okay.
they weren't being like hesitant and like naive about
That's
it.
great
They were
to
like,
hear.
Yeah, this is great. Let's try it. Why not? And yeah, it seemed to help him. I think the benefit I saw too, and my mom said she saw was like it lifted this big weight on his shoulders. Because as a dad, are you a dad yet? No. You will be. You'll be. one day.
I'll be a dad one day. Hopefully, yeah.
But you have this like weight on you to like take care of the world and take care of your family and your children and this and that, right? So I think in the burden of his business and like partnership and things like that, I feel like it lifted a lot of those things and elevated his spirit. And like I think at a point, cannabis can do what no other drug can do, is really kind of get into that other consciousness level and bring you to a point where you can be okay and acceptance of dying or acceptance of a new life, kind of like psychedelics, right? That's why they give psychedelics to end of life care, is that they can experience something they've never experienced before, almost like a religious kind of effect. And I think cannabis can kind of bring you out of that, mundane 9 to 5, go kind of thing to bring you into a new state of creativity,
Yes.
new state of mind, new observations, new ways of looking at things, right? And it's short-lived, but even then, if someone who's never been exposed to it, never done that, never drank, never smoked, that may be a beneficial thing.
Yes, absolutely. And you're talking about it's short-lived. It's definitely short-lived, but that's the benefit of it because you can
Right.
go back to a reality and then you can reconsume and use it as a tool
Yeah.
to get back into that state.
Absolutely.
Because if you're in that state all the time, you're not going to feel any different. You might not feel as motivated. You might just feel like, okay, this is just my regular baseline.
Yeah.
And then, you need that next thing to kind of bring you to that thing where, what is that really?
Right? Like that's as a healthcare professional, like I've always looked at like, why do we think of euphoria as such a bad word? It's a bad, it's a negative side effect. Like, yeah, it can be, but if it's used
If you're in
inappropriately,
hella pain, it might not be the worst.
I know, right? Like, let's embrace a little bit of euphoria in some patients' treatments, right? Like, yeah.
So how is it working in Hawaii, man? Like how are the laws? Are they like really different out there? Like, can you like give more stuff or like?
No, so like, yeah, I was back there in 2009, 2010. No, there was a lot more. It was a lot more strict.
Oh, okay.
Like in terms of like narcotic prescriptions, for example, can only be written for, I believe it was 7 or 14 days.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, people were coming in every like week or everything.
I mean, dispensing fees for you, but it's not the best for the patient, I guess, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but like those are like, there's different laws of like what's available over the counter versus not, what are prescription laws. But yeah, no, it was pretty similar. I think we weren't doing shots at that point in time.
Yeah.
There was no flu shots or nothing like that yet. That started, I think, a couple of years later. But
Nice.
yeah, it was great, man. I mean, I was going to work in like a t-shirt and shorts.
Yeah, like probably like
Canada was playing in the
you
World
know?
Cup. I was wearing my jersey.
your, like sandals just going. Like,
Canadians are
poke.
coming off like the cruise ship, like, oh, I'm sick. Hey, you're Canadian. What's up? Like, yeah,
That's too
some
funny.
Dramamine.
Oh my goodness, must be a vibe.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a cool place to work and like live because like, you're living in an environment where people are coming to vacation. So
Yeah.
everyone's like usually happy.
Everyone's happy. It's like when you go to a resort.
Yeah.
You can make friends with anybody
Oh,
because
absolutely.
everyone's just trying to be like happy and jolly.
Everyone's chill.
Yeah.
There's no like rushing. Like, like,
That's yeah. That, honestly, especially where I work, that's all it is. Customers are so spoiled that it's just like you do this right now.
yeah.
And it's like bro, like show a little bit of respect.
Yeah. I know
Especially
pharmacies become so like over the counter, like do this, do that. You're like, I want my flu shot right now. Like
Literally.
calm down, man.
literally.
like
And
I have to schedule an appointment. Like, yeah, like let's start treating ourselves like practitioners and
Yes.
not do everything over the counter.
like it's so hard to go see a doctor, but anybody can just call and walk into a pharmacist, and you have to show up and be there for them.
Yeah.
And it's like it almost like feels like you don't have as much dignity in a way.
Yeah.
And as much respect as you
I feel
should.
that. I feel you on
Yeah,
that.
and that's why I feel like we need to make that transition. We need to go into this cannabis landscape, and try to excel it in a way.
100%. Like, I mean, some people come up to me right up or at the counter and be like, "Hey, what should I take? My friend has this. They told me to cut CBD." I'm like, "Okay, let's set up an appointment. I'm not going to give you like just over the counter advice because I don't know your history. I don't
Exactly.
know
And you become the
medications."
professional in this manner, right?
Yeah.
You're the doctor here.
Yeah.
So now they're going to start respecting you because we've brought this new sort of like field
Yeah.
into into the space.
Absolutely.
So I think it's important. I see you got like the consultation room set up here.
Yeah.
Is that where you do you do prescription consultations in there as well for
Yeah.
cannabis?
Yeah.
Okay.
I work with practitioners and like we consult with patients. We'll go over their med list, like their ailments, and then just kind of figure out what's the best treatment regimen for them, what's the best course of action. And then I even go into even pharmaceutical things if cannabis is not working, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
It doesn't work for everybody. It's a known fact. But yeah, it's very collegial. Some patients who don't really have doctors or do have doctors but never wanted to approach them with this cannabis issue, I would write up a consultation note, send it to the doctor, and be like, "Look, we talked, and this may be an appropriate recommendation. What do you think about signing a medical document?" Honestly, 9 out of 10 times, yeah.
So family doctors will sign a medical prescription.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's starting if it's coming from another healthcare professional, they're more than likely to do it, right?
Okay, sweet. Okay, nice. So you're slowly building up your medical side of things.
Yeah,
I know you teamed up with Ali recently from Legacy Market.
yeah.
He's the homie.
Yeah,
How
man,
did you?
he's a homie.
Yeah. How did you kind of get that relationship going with him?
I mean, I met him through the industry, right?
Okay.
We met through some events, and my partner Angelo, so I knew Ali was doing some really cool stuff and growing some really good herb, and I'm let's I want to bring in some. I don't carry much herb. I don't move through much flower at all. It's mainly for certain patient demographics that I'll carry it for. And so that's why I wanted to find top quality stuff, craft grown, top quality, good terpene contents, things like that matter.
Yes.
So my patients will have access to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I talk about this all the time, but inhalation is kind of the least, I think beneficial way for a lot of medical patients because they already have medical issues, and you're going to be consuming smoke into your lungs after the fact.
Yeah.
So it's just not a good fit. And the fact that you're putting focus into oils and extracts and tinctures and things with certain terpene contents.
Yeah.
That's the important part.
No, I totally agree. I mean, even if have you read the College Strategy?
The college strategy?
Yeah,
No, I haven't.
OCP's college strategy.
Oh.
They're like, we do not oppose pharmacists dispensing. We oppose them dispensing any smokable or combustible forms.
The college has guidance on cannabis?
They have a strategy. And so it was intentionally left kind of open for interpretation and vague, which was good because like they're like, we don't oppose dispensing, which means that's good. We could dispense down the road. But I do agree with them on like we shouldn't be dispensing things that are combustible.
Yes.
And I remember like reading that, and I'm like, you know what? I actually agree with OCP for once. And like what that reminded me of is when my dad had his pharmacies in North Bay in Ottawa. He was one of the first in the areas to get rid of cigarettes. Remember when pharmacists? I don't know if you remember this, but pharmacists used to sell cigarettes at the front store.
Wow.
So he was like, nope, we're done. We're cutting that out because that's not appropriate for us to be.
That's
selling.
not on brand at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's how I feel about with combustion and like selling pre-rolls and things like that. I'm like, there's other healthier ways. It's not a good look for a healthcare practitioner.
Dude, imagine like you're selling cigarettes in one spot in the pharmacy, and then the next spot you're giving drugs to fix the problem caused by the cigarette. I mean, it's a good business model. I guess you're making money from both sides, right?
I know. I think it's not our role. We shouldn't be doing that.
So do you have algorithms that you use to dispense, or like how do you?
Starting to.
Okay.
Starting to. Like we made up one for insomnia. It really depends on patient,
Okay.
Are they cannabis naive or not? Have they used it before? What are they using now? Like all these things play a factor into like what they should be taking.
Yeah. So like, can you go through a little bit of the algorithm, like for insomnia? Like how would you...
So most patients, it depends. Like what causes your insomnia? Are you having difficulty getting to sleep? Or do you have difficulty staying asleep? Are you constantly going through the hamster on the wheel when you're trying to get to bed? Are you overthinking? Are you kind of hyped up at night? And then you kind of go through like checklist of like, what drugs have you tried? Have you tried anything? Are you on hypnotics or benzos or any of those things? A lot of people do well with CBD. And I usually start people with CBD, especially if they've never touched cannabis before, just because you want to mitigate THC side effects.
Okay.
Because THC can play a double sword, right? I don't know if you're ever taking too much. You can be like, I've had patients be like, oh my God, I tried something from the rec store and someone gave this to me. I was wired all night and I could not like sleep. I was like, yeah, that can happen. Like THC can totally get your mind going into so many different directions.
100%. 100%.
But yeah, you usually like go with the CBD, then the CBD, CBN.
Okay.
And if that's not working, then you go like CBN, THC, and then eventually maybe just THC alone. But I rarely see patients just doing THC alone.
Yes. Yeah. Like THC oil straight up. Like, what is that even?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
I know you need the cannabinoids, man.
Yeah,
they don't work as a family, man.
What are you doing?
This is compounding pharmacy in a plant.
Yep. My mom actually finds a lot of relief with CBD for sleep.
Yeah.
She's able to. She uses Divi's nightcaps.
Oh, sweet.
So they're 20 milligrams of CBD and 3 milligrams of melatonin.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that like combo might be beneficial for if you if you want.
I wonder if she gets increased dreaming. Did you ever ask her that?
No.
Because melatonin is known for that, right?
Yeah.
Really vivid dreams.
Yeah.
I wonder if it like.
And the fact that she's not taking THC, because THC obviously inhibits REM.
Yeah.
Which causes you to dream less or remember your dreams less.
Yeah.
So maybe because it doesn't have THC, maybe she is experiencing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Especially with the combination with melatonin.
Yeah.
I'd like to know some of that feedback.
Yeah. Do you find like you recommend that to anybody or?
Yeah, usually like I'll start with CBD. Most people like actually come and be like, I've tried melatonin, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not going to recommend them melatonin plus whatever. But yeah, usually like a CBD will help. And if not CBD, CBN. I'm finding CBN to be somewhat beneficial for patients.
Yeah.
CBD is tricky too though. Like I've found like low dose CBD for some patients, they get wired like a cup of coffee.
Okay.
And there's some studies that have shown like low dose, I think 25 milligrams and under can be more stimulating versus like 50 and above, maybe more relaxing, sedating, calming.
Okay. Well, I guess we got to do the trials to figure that out. Yeah. Let me know the research you find out.
I know, right?
So what was here before, Rahim? Like was this always a pharmacy?
No, this was normal. You know, have you heard of the clothing store? There might be an Ottawa, an Ottawa local clothing store. It's NORML.
Okay.
So they make like cool like sneaks and hoodies and stuff. Yeah, they were here. They left like the flooring, the lighting, all that. But I opened up here just because we're in the middle of like almost like a nice area, right?
Yes, absolutely.
There's
There's
like
a lot of
yoga right there.
walk
There's
traffic.
like
A lot of pedestrians. What are your normal hours?
Monday through Friday, 10 to 5, and
Yeah.
then Saturday, 10 to 2.
Okay, and you work all those hours?
Yeah, pretty much.
So what do you do? Like, obviously, if you have some downtime, like what's some things that you do to pass your time with?
I go to the gym,
Okay.
hang out with my daughter,
Yeah.
play stuff. Like,
Yeah.
winter's coming, so we're gonna go skiing a lot.
Nice.
I got a trainer to get good.
Yeah. Do you find like when you're here, you're always like working on something? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always, I mean, especially as like an entrepreneur, you can never stop.
Yeah.
It's never, your mind's always going. That's why you need weed, man. Like, you just gotta shut it down sometimes. But it's, no, it's fun. It's fun. It's hard. It's everything.
What do you feel like your day gets consumed by mostly, like your work day, let's say, like when you're here? Like what are you doing mostly?
Consulting, like patients,
Okay.
answering questions, consulting with cannabis. Like right now, it's like flu shots season, COVID shot season, all that.
You got your COVID shots in?
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah. So we're getting a little bit of an uptake right now. That should probably level off in the next like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. So you'd say consulting is like your main sort of like consumption of your time around here.
Yeah.
So you're consulting for cannabis. So people are
Even
walking in,
managing
or
regular
are you
meds.
getting like references? How are people like hearing about this place?
A lot of word of mouth, a lot of like, my family friend told me to come here. A lot of doctor referrals.
Okay.
So they won't send a direct like referral form. They'll just be like, go see Pharm.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them don't want to write prescriptions. They don't know anything about it, or they're sending them to the rec store.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
even some rec stores are recommending to go to us if they have a lot of medical problems. Then they'll say, go to Pharm, which is nice. It's a great community.
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And this nurse practitioner that you have coming in every once in a while, what's that like connection like? How do you have that contract set up? Like,
Independent contractor.
Okay.
So like, it's just a walk-in clinic for like acute care.
Yeah.
So, like everyone, honestly, I talk to at least like, 20 people a day are like, I don't have a doctor. I'm like, wow, like this is becoming like pandemic, and this is why you start seeing private, walk-in clinics or private like health starting to pop up everywhere. I know there's a lot in Toronto, I think, that are starting to pop up, but it's just another avenue to provide care for patients. Nurse practitioners, can't bill OHIP, so that's kind of where we see like, it's a fair rate, just come in, you don't have to wait in line at like, the emergency room or wait for months for your doctor's appointment. Just come in, get something quickly done, get some requisitions or, blood samples, urine tests, things like that. We can do that.
Okay. Nice, man.
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned earlier you wish that you kind of got a little bit more of a client base before starting something like this.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Starting a pharmacy from scratch now is hard. That's one thing that I may have underestimated, is how hard it is to transfer patients' prescriptions to you.
Yep.
You go through that?
I mean, the thing is with our pharmacy, a lot of people come because of my dad.
Yeah.
And he's built it up because of his name.
Yeah.
So like people are hearing word of mouth like around the town. It's a small town, and that's why everybody just kind of comes in and sees him and like, oh, I heard about you. Like where is Sanjay? Like where can I find him? Like they ask for him specifically, right? So, but he put in the work, and I seen that. Like this guy was working when he made that pharmacy in 2013. It was like 10, 12, 14 hours a day that he would be doing, and we would be there with him doing the thing. So, I mean, that's just how it goes when you want to start a business. It's never easy.
Yeah.
So you guys sold all your pharmacies?
Yeah, my dad sold his pharmacies to his business partner.
Okay.
And
So
then
that's why you didn't have any.
That's
left
kind of
over. Okay.
allowed me to open up and be like, let's start my own thing. Let's do something else. I always had that entrepreneurial spirit, like I didn't think I wanted to work for any other chain or anything at that point. So like let's try this out. Cannabis is right around the corner. Legalization is right around the corner. It's probably a good time to get involved in it.
Yeah.
And just do as much as I can with it.
Absolutely. Was it a hard time sort of getting this license to dispense cannabis and be a pharmacy at the same time?
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because again, I think nobody's gone down these waters before. So
Bro, you're a
dealing with
pioneer.
Health,
That's what you are.
Dealing
Yeah.
with Health Canada, there's like have all these different questions. Like my application got sent back like back and forth like 10 times. It took me about a year to get it from start to finish. So in that time, I was just like pulling my hair out, being like, "Why is it taking so long? Like, what's going on?" But nowadays, like we just licensed a pharmacy out in Alberta.
Okay.
So they have a similar model where they're an online pharmacy and they have an online medical cannabis sales.
So it's like central, Phil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they deliver prescriptions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I mean. This is what this place has become too, is a very destination place. Mm-hmm. I have patients all over like a 50-mile radius coming in or getting prescriptions through me or getting cannabis. So it's like it's about service now, right? As independent pharmacies now, you have to go on service.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. You have to have service and you have to have connections with reps.
Yeah.
That's the main thing because that's what's going to keep your pharmacy afloat. And it's going to give you that little edge and that little cushion that you need to keep it going.
Absolutely. You're just trying to find, creative marketing ways or anything to kind of draw attention.
Marketing is
business.
huge.
Yeah,
Marketing
man.
is huge. Yeah. And like, obviously you being at all the events, like, word of mouth, showcasing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like we came from Toronto, like we drove 5 hours to get here. So
yeah, man.
obviously,
Appreciate that.
Yeah, of course, of course, because we wanted to see what you're doing, and this is everything and more.
Yeah.
What I wanted it to be. So I appreciate you for having me.
Yeah. Loved it.
Yeah. So where do you see the industry going in the future?
Yeah, it's a $1 million question, eh? Like everyone's. I mean, honestly, like, there's a lot of groups out there pushing for like legislative reform, which is great. I see it. I mean, we need to just fix up medical 100%. Like it's failing, it's crumbling. Even the doctors that are in it are just pissed by the regulations. They're pissed of how it's going. Like, I really see pharmacy being the future area for dispensing. Like we have a lot of jurisdictions around the world already going through pharmacy distribution. Uruguay was like the first country in the world to ever legalize cannabis, like nationally. And then 4 years later, boom, it's in the pharmacies. So, I mean, like it just seems like a logical next step, especially for medical access, especially for medical care. Even if the CMA seems to like not want to take a step back and they're like, oh, we don't want to be the gatekeepers. We don't want to prescribe. That's fine. Then put it in the pharmacy and the pharmacist can handle it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that should be a big part of like the next phases. I think patients should not be needing to pay taxes on this.
Yes.
If they're using this for a legit medical reason, they should not be paying taxes.
It's the only medication drug that you can't bill it.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. I know, like you have a bunch of seizure patients, man, and they're doing amazing on this. Uh-huh. They're doing amazing on CBD, like to the point where they're coming either down or stabilized fully with some of their pharmaceutical medications. Mm-hmm. And they're still only having to pay an exorbitant amount per month.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
like,
that's insane.
Didn't we all start this because of seizure patients? Because one seizure patient fought for his right to use this as a medication.
Yeah.
Thank you, Parker. And now we're in the situation where it's like they're barely hanging on to medical access. So that's I really hope, we strive to bring that forward more and push the medical stream a lot further than where it's at right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because now we have, I did a bud tender survey across Canada, and like it was an overwhelming percentage of bud tenders, like 87% of them were like, yeah, we get asked like 6 to 10 questions a day at least per bud tender on a medical aspect. It's probably higher than that.
And they can't comment.
They can't.
Yeah, they have to say, it can do this, or I can't comment on that, or,
right.
Things like that. And it's like, all right, well, you can't comment on it, but the patient's still stuck. Like, what do they do?
I know, exactly, right? And I think it's on the government to loosen those loosen the rules and regs on this and allow for easier distribution. Because, I mean, if you look at the numbers too, man, like if you go into Health Canada's like active client registrations and see that it's continuing to dwindle ever since legalization, ever since 2018, it's been dwindling by like 30%. So it's not like patients are magically getting cured and nobody's using cannabis anymore. No, they're all just going to easier access points.
Yeah.
They're going to the rec store, they're picking it up and then going home and either self-medicating or they know what they're doing, so they're fine. Like, but at that point, it's like, this is where we need proper medical access channels. And, pharmacy has been the infrastructure is well taken care of. Like, we already have provider numbers for insurance. We already have, drug interaction checks. We already have all these things ingrained in us because this is what we do every day. This is just another molecule added to our shelves.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So what does somebody have to do to kind of do this model that you're doing? How would they start?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I'm looking for partners, man. I'm looking for those entrepreneurial guys out there that have pharmacies that are looking for, another avenue and, want to help patients. And we want to see some, really close connections with patients. Because I feel like some of the patients I've helped, man, is fantastic. Like they were sitting in my, consultation room crying and like, I can't believe how effective this has been for my child, or like
that must be like one of the most like
satisfying.
Yeah,
it's very like, this is why
ever.
I'm in healthcare. I get it now.
Yeah,
because I feel like for so long pharmacy has just been like dispense meds, go on.
You're literally
meds,
it's nothing more than like giving out food. Like that's literally what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing more than that at this point, and we need to bring that actual value back. And especially like coming from the root cause, I think like we need to start really assessing patients from like where their situations and conditions arise from. You know, it's not just simple as, you take a pill and everything's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. There has to be this whole, reinventing of their lifestyle, right? From the basics.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I feel like, I don't know, maybe what drove me too is like hypocrisy. I can't stand hypocrisy. And I feel like I have to call it out every time I see it. And now I'm like, we're in this like pharmacy versus like, cannabis stores started popping up. Now we have mushroom stores. Now we're going to have LSD stores. Like, what's next? Like, why are we separating all these molecules? These are all very specific, very, medically used molecules that should be dispensed under one house. And it could be our house. We just need to provide our colleagues the knowledge and education to be able to talk to patients sufficiently about it, Even like the way the drug works itself. Like, it's like, why are we subjecting patients to shitty drugs like Seroquel in dementia and like long-term care homes? Like, man, Seroquel is the shittiest drug. Or benzos. Like, give them a CBD, man. Like honestly, like
I recommend CBD to so many people, and I'm not allowed to really, I guess, or like maybe I am allowed, but I still recommend it to so many people, and they haven't even, most people haven't even heard of it still.
Yeah, I know. We're still in a very, very naive position in this market.
Yeah.
Very naive. Like, most patients are like, "Oh, what's that CTP thing someone's talking to me about?" Yeah, it's like, but like, I mean, like, that's what I get so annoyed by, like, doctors being like, "Oh, I can't prescribe them." Like, yes, you can. You can prescribe narcotics. You can prescribe cannabis.
Yes.
You just don't want to, or you don't want to take the time to learn about it.
Yes.
And you giving your patient a benzodiazepine because they're 80 years old and they're agitated and have dementia is the wrong way to go about this.
Yeah.
I've seen so many patients benefit off of a CBD in long-term care homes. They're like, wow, they're so much more relaxed. They can get on with their day. They're not popping pills every 3 hours. Like, it's wonderful. Like, it's a harm reduction approach at the end of the day.
And that's a standard set by the college.
Yeah.
Like not doing harm.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, I hate hypocrisy. I'm like, I need to fight it. Even with the cannabis as being another molecule, it's another tool in the toolbox that we should have at our disposal. Psychedelics are coming into play. Again, I think that's a fantastic pharmacological drug.
Fantastic.
For sure. It's going to be the new drug development, sector. I mean, it already is, but
100%. I think using it in a controlled setting and with people that are experienced with it, there can be some really profound, experiences that people can have, especially with psychedelics. And I think for like mood, depression, anxiety, things like that, like you come out a completely new person after, just a couple of sessions.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Even I've seen like cluster headaches, like some of my friends had cluster headaches.
I've never experienced one. But it's probably the most fucked up shit ever. Yeah. Right?
Like, I remember this, he's my college roommate, and he was like, when he gets his cluster headaches, he usually March. He's like, nope, I'm going in my room for like 3 days, No sound, no light, nothing. He'd be puking in his laundry basket. Like, it was horrible. And he's like, he'd be injecting himself with Imitrex and, doing all the triptan, typical things, and nothing. And then one day we all took mushrooms, and he's like, dude, I haven't had a headache in like a year and a half. I'm like, what?
Wow.
He's like, yeah, I think it's this. So now he like doses himself every year. It keeps him in remission. Like,
Nice, man.
So
That's crazy.
There are some studies like that.
Once a year. What medication is that?
I know, right? Yeah.
What'll do that for you? That's available right now.
This is the problem with the psychedelic industry, though, is that they think this is very much more commercializable, and it's not, right?
No,
Like,
man. No, you can't do that. You have to treat it just as
no
much
one's going to be using this
medication
drug
as
every
everything.
day, nor should you.
Yeah. Yeah. Because then it's just, it builds up a tolerance, one.
Yeah.
And two, you start to disrespect and abuse it.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, it won't work. It won't do anything. If you're going to lose the activity, like your receptors start down regulating. Like, it's a whole, like, you don't need it. And this is why it's like on like the list of like the lowest potential for abuse drugs. So,
Wow.
yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see where pharmacological development comes with that. Like, that's fascinating. I love those areas.
Yeah, and I mean, big pharma probably has a role to be played as well.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason doctors don't want to go ahead and prescribe these natural things that are available. Is
Right,
because
yeah.
where are they going to make their money from? How are they going to bill? How are they going to do their livelihood? So
Yeah, I think, yeah, I think it's like it needs a lot more rigorous, especially with like mushrooms and psilocybin and psychedelics. I think it needs to be a lot more contained.
is there any countries that you hear around the world like doing like crazy research in psychedelics and doing accelerants?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, I obviously heard like John Hopkins, and like I know Jamaica is opening up, like they're loosening their laws, so like it allows people to do like studies there and things like that. But yeah, like I'm not too like in depth into that industry.
That's what we need as well. We need more university grants to do studies.
Yeah.
I don't know have you heard of Nadeem? He works with Dylan for Jane and Juice. He works at McGill.
Yeah, I heard. Like, he was telling me about him. I need to talk to him.
I need to talk to him too.
Yeah, we should talk to him.
We should talk to him
Let's get him on
together.
a podcast.
We should all three of us talk together.
Yeah, man. No, that's cool. I mean, I think like honestly, the amount of money that Canada and the CRA is making out of these LPs and excise taxes should be put back into the industry
Yep.
to develop what they want. Everyone's asking for research, so fucking pay for it, man. Give us grants. Like, open up the doors for research. Don't allow us to have so much red tape. Like you can't use a product that's already on the market to do a clinical trial. You know that? This is why like a lot of these like CBD
That's
companies,
mad.
it's like
Wow.
it has to be GMP. There's very few producers that are GMP in this country, which I get. Like, GMP, good. It's a standard. We all have to abide by standards and come to like scientific conclusions. But at the end of the day, like the red tape behind conducting these clinical trials is so hard to get something going, and the amount of money it takes, right? Like, so this is why Canada should be granting this. I don't know, like, truly, when I thought we would legalize cannabis, I thought we were going to be the next GW Pharmaceuticals to make Epidiolex. Epidiolex could literally take out this entire industry today if they wanted to. They could step into Canada. Here's a bag full of cash. We own you now. And everyone just is now GW. Like, they have that much money from that one product. It is that big of a product.
Wow.
And it's that effective of a product. You know Epidiolex, right?
Talk about that a little bit.
Epidiolex is a like 99.6% CBD tincture.
Okay.
Available in the US. It started in England, GW.
Nice.
GW was bought out by Jazz Pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
So now they're under Jazz. But in the studies, like, there was one really good one you should read. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
It's New England Journal of Medicine. It talks, they did a study on Epidiolex, and there was about an 80% reduction in seizures for Lennox-Gastaut and Dravet syndrome
Sick.
patients. Yeah, it was like so effective.
Wow.
So this is where like CBD got its fame, right? It's like, yes, it works for children, and now it's like in hamburgers in the US, but that's a different story. But because of that, now it's available widely in the US. It's available in the UK. Health Canada is still trying to bring it in here. But when you get to that level of like IP, that level of research, the clinical data, then you start making products like this. Canada should have already been 5 years ahead of everybody else in the world. We're not. we're sitting back trying to figure out how many bottles of cans to fucking distribute to people who want to buy canned beverages. Like, come on, guys. Like, we had a really good golden opportunity here to actually like make IP, innovate products. I mean,
become a leader
in like education, research, and product development. But now we're just,
and the fact that it's countrywide, it's huge. Like, you can share research from across the country. Like, this whole land is able to work towards one common goal. That's not something that's, very common throughout the world.
100%, right? Like, now you start to see like Israel and like all these countries.
Israel's doing some crazy stuff.
They have some crazy research going.
Yeah.
And like, I expected Canada to be there, but
I mean,
it might take more time, or I don't know. Maybe, I don't know if we're going to get there.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I know, honestly, if US legalizes it in the next like 5 years, like, they will do it very capitalistic style.
100%.
But with that follows like pharma, and that follows like IP, and like, let's get a patent on this formulation because this is what we studied in a clinical trial. Like, they'll do it right. That's where all the opportunity will go.
Yeah.
And then Canada will be left with a couple producers twiddling their thumbs, selling pre-rolls. Like, let's go. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of wasted opportunity here, but we got to celebrate the wins, though. We got
100%.
We can walk into a store and buy weed, man. That's a good win.
It's a big thing, and I think, like, obviously, because we are so passionate about it, I think it leaves it up to us to bring it to light, and do the movements that these people are doing. Like, you're talking about the hill. What is it? What was it called?
Grass on the Hill.
Grass on the Hill.
Yeah,
and things like that. Like, those are super important.
Yeah, it's advocacy, right? I mean, especially as pharmacists, we got to get in front of our boards and these advocacy platforms just to really start pushing, the narrative that we can do this, we want to do this, we are willing to do this. Don't leave us out, because that's what happened. And back in 2013 when they were consulting about how to legalize cannabis, they consulted with pharmacy and like NAPRA and like the colleges, and they said we want nothing to do with it. Which I'm like, in my head, I'm like, who'd you talk to? You didn't talk to us. But that, again, things change, right? They look at the data now. You have to look at the data and look at the clinical relevance and the benefit. Like, you can't deny this is a medication.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bro, I just love your passion, and the fact that you have this science background and you're able to talk from a different perspective. I love it. Thanks, and I can relate to it a little bit. And I feel like it's up. Yeah,
you know the science.
Yeah, I feel like it's up to us because, I just feel so strongly that this is revolutionary. Like, this can change everything.
Yeah.
Right.
It can, man.
Yeah.
I'd love to see, different cannabinoids, THCV, like start really studying these compounds and
and terpenes too themselves.
Yeah.
Like, with that, what is it called? The entourage effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very important.
Still a theory, right?
Still a theory, but I mean, honestly, it makes total sense.
I believe it. I mean,
and the fact that THC oil, 99%, whatever it is, versus, like a 20% flower that has like 3% terps, like, you're going to feel completely different. You're actually going to feel an effect from it.
Oh, 100%.
Right? And
I feel like, as much as like the cannabis culture is like, oh, we hate big pharma and this and that. It's like kind of what you're doing with vapes and like, like really isolating the compound. That to that point is like, you're pretty much making it a pharmaceutical.
Yeah.
Like, you're making it that strong, that pinpoint to the point where it's like, it's overuse. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Whereas like, pharmaceuticals are like, it's a silver bullet method, right? Where you have one drug to target one specific like enzyme or one specific receptor to cause that, and that's how you have a drug.
And as I think
flowers, like, it's everything. It's you have so much more into it than look at.
It's the full spectrum, and I think as like just people in general, we tend to concentrate a lot of things.
Yeah,
like that's just like it's easy. It's it's like this bulk form that you can just put into everything.
Yeah,
and it's not always the best approach, for sure.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't particularly like vapes. Like distillate. I'll say distillate.
Yeah, distillate. I mean, there's a place and
compared
time
to a
for
flower
sure,
and
but
distillate, man. Like I was smoking. I tried some of the vapes, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
This tastes gross. I don't think I should be inhaling this.
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't even make you feel good. It gives me a headache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get up and then you get down real fast. Like,
even live resin vapes, like I definitely prefer them a lot more.
Yeah.
But even then,
They're
they're
better taste, you
They have
know?
better taste, but they're still like they're decarbed already, and you're still like reheating that oil back and forth. Like it's it's still kind of losing that
Yeah.
full profile of that flower once was.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Dude, this place is so sick. I've had like the best time here.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you for this conversation.
There's a bed in there if you guys want to crash. And,
I mean, I'm definitely going to be
I
coming
must
back,
have
And honestly, if any of you guys are, involved in the pharmaceutical or the medical industry and you really see value in what Rahim's doing, like definitely reach out. I'm sure we can get you guys started. And,
absolutely.
This is the start of it. This is
it's a
pioneer
movement.
it.
It's a passion. It's what we should be doing as pharmacists is helping patients, and you can't deny that taking someone off of benzodiazepine in replacement of a CBD, that's help.
Yeah.
That's help. Like taking someone off of opioids, you're helping them.
Yeah. It's reducing risk, increasing quality of life.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the name of the game.
Yeah. I'm more than I'm looking for pharmacists like you, man. They're few and far between, eh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But people that are willing to make change and want to make some noise across the country, and let's go together on this brigade because it's important, right? Or else we're going to be left with 19-year-old bud tenders. No offense to you guys listening out there, but they're not qualified to talk to someone who has atrial fibrillation and is on immunosuppressives about cannabinoid therapy.
Absolutely.
That's the truth of it.
Absolutely. I think they should give bud tenders a little bit of more education anyways. Like, obviously not to the
See,
point
I love
of...
bud tenders. Don't get me wrong. I would love for them to work here with me to help me with my flower patients.
Yeah.
And kind of have this combination of, pharmacy and cannabis, because they're going to be the ones to help drive and educate the pharmacists, and the pharmacists can educate them on like the really science aspects of it, right? So it's a mutually beneficial relationship. It's a very symbiotic,
synergistic.
Yeah. It's a very symbiotic relationship, and honestly that's where I foresee it. If pharmacy does get cannabis, and when they get cannabis, not if, when, is I see bud tenders kind of moving into that role and being like another pharmacy assistant.
Yeah.
So they may be trained in the pharmacy aspects, putting in prescriptions, but they're also more there to help with the aspects of cannabis.
Yes.
That would be mutually beneficial.
That sounds like a dream.
That's that's optimistic right there, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's all we can be, right? Hopeful.
Yeah. That's it, eh?
Yeah, that's it. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. This has been an amazing conversation. As always, much love. Stay positive. We out.
I love you, Mary Jane. You're the prettiest of flowers, girl, me can't complain. When I'm with you, I feel so high, I rise above the rain. And you know the people damage like that bitch cocaine. No, I leave them lonely, feeling only pain. Cause your DNA is of the highest strain. Your effect is so